sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello and welcome to My Sister's a Therapist. My name is Virginia Jones. I'm a comedian, but my sister's a therapist.
Hello, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but my main credit is sister to chuckle artisan Virginia Jones.
You're very lucky. You're very lucky. Laura, we have a special guest this week. Tell me about our guest and our topic.
Our guest, her name is Stay-Kashian. If you don't know who she is,
Look it up right now.
She's a stand-up comedian who's been on Conan, Corden, HBO, Netflix, Comedy Central. She's touring 45 weeks a year. She's calling this the Never Ending Story Tour. And you should check to see if she's going to be in a town near you. Jackie will talk about dates in a minute. Jackie has had 5 comedy albums and specials that have been number 1 on Amazon and Apple and number 3 on Billboard. In addition, she is a co-host to her own podcast, The Jackie and Laurie Show, and Dork Forest, where Virginia Jones has been a guest on the Labyrinth and Douglas Adams episodes. You can also find her writing in the Comedy Film Nerd's Guide to Movies and the Comic Book Comics Quarterly. Currently, she has a new tiny comedy special, Looking Back, shot from the back of a Mazda 6 in reverse. Welcome, Jackie.
Thanks. You know, I think I want to take that never-ending story thing. I thought it was funny. I got a new website. They put it on the thing. Everyone keeps introducing me with that. And I'm like, no.
The joke is that everybody names their tours. So Jackie's tour is just forever this one.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying that this one was a really long one. So you're just calling it the never ending story because it's never ending.
Right. I don't think it's working. Because Virginia's right.
So we're going to start with a quote from Stay-Kashian. This is from Stay-Kashian, an excellent comedy special. If you haven't seen it, then you're dumb. So prior to
this is the most interesting therapist. It's not. She doesn't call you dumb when you're paying $85 an hour.
She will not. She will not.
She actually does.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. She'll shut you down.
People don't like it, but that's just the way I roll.
People don't like it. It's shocking.
People don't like being insulted and paying for it. Well, some people do, but they're not.
Well, that forms the bulk of her clientele. People who do like it.
That's true. That's true. It's true. It's a very niche market. So the Stay-Kashian comedy special, she says, prior to online dating, I had 2 ways of hitting on a guy. One of them was stone cold sober. If I liked a guy, I would stand next to him for years. Absolutely never successful. Second way, I'd get liquored up. I'd go to the bar. I'd walk up to any promising dude and go, this needs a tune-up. You want in? Neither one of those is flirting. One of them is harassment. Wow.
Jackie, so glad that you weren't someone read the transcript of my last album. Thank you so much.
It's a weird feeling. It's like looking in a funhouse mirror.
Where a very talented therapist is reading it as if she is the comedian. It's incredible.
So she also has done a bit about when she really liked a guy, she would just dress like him. If you want to date goth dudes, you dress goth. If you want to date prep dudes, you dress prep. You wanted to date Midwestern nerds. And now
there I was. And here we are. Andy is actually much more dapper than I needed. I used to do a bit about how he's better looking than I required. I would have settled for half of that. But there he is.
You got bonus material. Speaking of Andy Ashcraft, and speaking of quoting you, you said, he's the best and I love him so much. Get yourself a person that when they walk in the room, you're happy to see them because then life is real doable. He makes my life easier and full of joy. Yay, us. Yay, more. Happy anniversary is coming up in like a month, right?
Yeah. Where did I say that?
It was on Facebook.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. Laura, you are
trolling.
Creepy.
I am creepy.
It's borderline creepy.
It's borderline creepy. It's full on creepy.
Andy one time did say to me, one of the things I love about our relationship is that every time I come into a room, you're happy to see me.
Yeah, that's so sweet. You're like a golden retriever.
He was in a relationship for a long time. And I guess at the end of it, they weren't that psyched to see each other when they walked into rooms.
Right.
And I've never been in a relationship long enough for it to end.
Oh,
so this is it.
This is new for both of you.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by this. This is Jackie's first try and she's doing so well.
You're kind of nailing it.
You're really nailing it. Laura and I had dozens of terrible relationships.
We made a whole podcast episode, actually 2 of them.
2 of them, because you stepped into it as an adult, being a fully formed human. It kind of helped.
Yeah.
It was some real advantages there. And I personally, I'm honored to know Andy Ashcraft, and he is a gem.
He does seem like a stand-up person from all of the online trolling I've been doing.
Yeah, he's sort of, I'm tempted to say he's a better person than all of us. He's
You're probably
definitely just
correct,
better
at least
than
in my
me.
case.
Well, he takes the dogs for a walk. He always brings an extra bag for garbage.
Wow.
And he picks up garbage in the neighborhood in addition to the dog poops. And sometimes he'll try to hand me a garbage bag and I'll say, nope.
No, thank you. Big Boy Scout energy. Laura and I were talking about a TikTok that she sent me yesterday that said, comedians are not usually nice people.
Uh-oh.
And it folds in on itself because I struggle to be genuinely nice. That comedy is a way to keep from connecting with people. It moves you into like performer and then audience member. We can have an interaction and I make you laugh and then you come away feeling good, but you haven't learned anything about me. Sometimes comedy is a smokescreen, and Jackie's an exception to this, but I find a lot of times the comics that try the hardest to show you what a good guy they are the worst.
Right. It's a weird way where you write to, because my entire set right now is me and just sort of the journey of the failure of me in retail situations. Just like not nailing it, but trying. The whole thing is just trying to be a better person in the moment and not having to go back and apologize.
And I've had moments in the last couple years where I think the me that I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago would have really lost her S hit. That's what I call personal growth is I can recognize that this is something that I would have made about myself, that I would have not known how to deal with and gotten angry, that I would have stomped my little feet and walked away. And now I don't have to. And that's as close to growth as I get.
So let's talk about love for a second, shall we?
Okay, let's go back to the topic. We've been having fun, Laura.
We've been weeding off, and that's okay. But we
3 ADHD people on the same podcast.
I'm medicated today, so I'm going to pull us back. What is love? So a lot of people confuse the hormonal reaction of doves with love. What is doves? D stands for dopamine, the feel-good hormone. O stands for oxytocin, the love and bonding hormone. V stands for vasopressin, the mood-enhancing hormone. E stands for endorphins, well-being, stress reduction hormones. And S stands for serotonin, the happiness hormones. When we meet somebody new and we like them, we get flooded with this. And a lot of people think that this is love, but what it really is a way to keep the human race alive.
When you have a crush on someone, I've certainly used crushes as being around this person makes me feel good. And even if I'm not seeking a bigger relationship with them, I just want to be around them and feel good. And it's because of doves.
Interesting. And those are all some sort of chemical reaction.
It's a chemical cocktail in your brain box that's released into your body. And studies show that people who are in that first phase of relationship will typically think about their partner at the same level or more than a drug addict. So it is actually almost an addiction.
Oh, sure. I got a couple of friends who are in coleslaw, SLAA, sex and love addicts, anonymous.
Even they're in a big bowl of coleslaw.
Yeah, my brain calls it coleslaw. My whole thing with love is so interesting. I never understood it. Even on the big picture, just because you guys come from a big family, but we were told when we were little that we had to love each other and that we had to love our families and we had to do this, we had to do that. And we were all in this together. We were a family and we had to love each other. And it was in that tone of voice. And nobody, blessedly, thank you, the baby Jesus, told us that we had to like each other, because I don't like a couple of people that are involved.
You want to name any names?
We'll probably guess if you've seen my published works. And it doesn't mean I don't love them. And it doesn't mean I don't take their calls. It's one of the reasons why I don't think I did date, or where I don't think I did fall in love. And if I fell in love, I remember thinking, am I in love with him? Am I in love? And I'm like, well, it hurts that he doesn't care about me. So maybe I am in love.
I think that being flooded with all of those hormones makes you think about this person like they're not even a person. It papers over the cracks of their personality and makes you feel like they're better than they actually are.
And I think the couple of people that I felt like I was in love with that didn't care, I look back on that and go, it's a really good thing that it didn't work. And then when I get with Andy Ashcraft, he told me he loved me in the car. We were like probably 3 months into dating. And he was like, I love you. And I was like, I think I love you. And he said, you love me. And here we are 20 years
later. With the confidence of someone who had been in love relationships before.
Right. Who knew what love was and who knew what it sort of looked like or felt like, that it was a safe thing to feel, I think.
So putting yourself back in that moment, what did you think love was then.
When he said it, one of the first things that I did feel safe enough to say it back, which is, I think, huge. You know, I mean, the fact that he could create that sort of environment, or I felt that much care around me that I could just say, I think I love you back, and safe enough to hang out in that moment and let it be. And then we could laugh about it when he was like, yeah, you love me. I was thinking about what it might mean. Because when I think about when I like somebody, I think about them when I'm not around them. I sometimes order food at restaurants that he would like that I don't like, because that's what he would have ordered. I'm on the road so much.
I'm eating this in tribute.
I hope you take a picture of it and send it to him.
I do. I tend to go, oh, look, there's shrimp and grits on this. Your mom really likes this. And I sometimes order a food at a restaurant because someone I know likes it. I have eaten Caesar salads because Maria Bamford's favorite food is Caesar salad. And I was like, oh, my friend Maria Bamford likes Caesar salads. I think I'll have a Caesar salad. I don't know what that is. Is that love?
That's some neurospicy stuff is what that is. That's some neurodivergence. That's very interesting. I've never heard of that.
Isn't that what people have when they focus? What is that?
Probably what everyone has in this chat.
Laura, talk a little bit about what the general term neurodivergence. We have spectrum stuff.
Yeah, you have
ADHD.
Oh, ADHD, autism, they're all on the same spectrum. I explain it. We're all on different stops on this train, but it's all the same train. When you have a different way of braining. When you have a different way of thinking and a way of taking in the world, the way you form relationships is going to be really different. What I noticed with neurospicy people is they find imaginative and new ways to connect to other people. It sounds like one of your ways is through eating.
It's like I buy trinkets and stuff like that. Like I buy little gifts, and it's not just the restaurant stuff. It's like in the airport, I see a weird stuffed animal that Maria Bamford might like, but I will take a picture of it.
I need it.
I take a picture of it and I'll send it to her and go, thought about you.
But I'm thinking about you and I'm letting you know. It's like penguins will give each other a little rock when they really like each other. That's kind of like that. So I'm that way with TikToks. If I see a TikTok and it reminds me, at all of you, you're going to get a flood of 8,000 TikToks because I'm letting you know on a really regular basis that I really like you. Apparently, non-neurodivergent people do not do that.
I do that as well. When I'm out shopping and I'm in a new relationship, I see something, I'm like, he would like that. And it's not even whether he likes it or needs it, but I am enjoying the feeling of thinking about him connected to the thing.
And that is neurodivergence. That's not just thoughtlessness.
I think the difference is that a normal person, a normie, a square, might send a TikTok a month and I send 10,000 an afternoon. That's the volume. And I think doing it consistently, I'm not saying no one who isn't neurodivergent, they're called allistic people. And allistic people don't ever think of other people. Of course they do. I think it's just the consistency of it and the interesting ways that we do it.
And the kind of almost magical thinking pattern of this object reminds me of this person. This gives me a good feeling. Therefore, this object gives me a good feeling. Or this shrimp and grits, which sounds to me not very good.
Sounds great, minus the shrimp. Why do we love, you may be wondering? We're going to talk about Helen Fisher. She's a lady
remember her?
Of course you guys know Helen Fisher. Helen Fisher is an anthropologist, or was an anthropologist. I found out she just died in August of 2024.
Give it up, Helen Fisher.
We're going to pour out some liquid death to Helen Fisher. She studied animals and talked about the connection. And Virginia and I have talked about this on the podcast. This is a quote. As a female chimpanzee comes into estrus, males begin to crowd around her. A courting male rising to his hind legs with penis erect, swaggering before her on 2 feet, stamping the ground, rocking from side to side, shaking the branches, and staring at his intended. Actual love is something that expands over time and requires patience, honesty, and mutual care. But the thing that we sometimes experience is chimp love.
In a human person, that chimp would be saying, oh, nice t-shirt. Did you see them when they played last summer? So who is your favorite Marvel character, would you say? Is it Loki?
So this is the difference again between doves and actual love to some extent.
People say that chimpanzees are our cousins, but really if you look at our DNA, they're more like our brothers and sisters. We are closely related to chimpanzees. The way that they mate, the way that they do stuff is really what we do on some level, except we wear pants.
I really wish that we could actually talk to chimpanzees, because I bet you they'd be like, I don't think you guys are great. I gotta go. People are obsessed with chimpanzees. There's some sort of new chimpanzee TV show out where people have baby chimpanzees as their
I have
love
seen
their, and they
the
love
Chimp
them.
Baby Show. Sometimes you love something that rips off your nose. But chimpanzees have achieved a lot. Like they went to space before us. He didn't train for it, but the fact remains that chimp went to space.
So love is a weird thing, but I think it starts with the physical. I think that the mistake that we make and that Hollywood has made is telling us that that is what love is. And you should be obsessed with your partner your whole life. It doesn't work that way.
In a new relationship, you're obsessed with your partner. You think about them all the time. Your appetite is suppressed. You don't need sleep. You become like a superhuman, just cracked out on love. And yeah, it feels really good. But then when that part stopped, and I've had conversations with comics who are like, and then I knew I didn't love him anymore because I didn't have that feeling.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
And that's a person who's in a lot of short-term relationships because they're always seeking that drug.
But I will say that I think when I met Andy, and I think I was 38, it was a point where I was like, we're going to do it. There's going to be sexy times and it's all going to be very exciting. But are we going to also enjoy reading next to each other?
Right.
We do this thing. We both play this game on our phones and we call it parallel play, which is a toddler thing. Okay. And we just play Marvel Puzzle Quest next to each other for an hour and a half. And
that's adorable.
Yes. And then we look up and we discuss our characters and we discuss their powers and we have a conversation about that game and deep into the long boxes. And I'd be like, who is this character? And he's like, well, he was first introduced.
Deep in the long boxes is about comic book and the way that they're stored.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
I will translate nerd to you and you can translate therapy to us.
That sounds great.
And Laura, if you could also explain music to me, that'd be great because
boy.
all musical references will come from Virginia Joe.
Let's talk about love. So here are some signs that
keep us together. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was a song that another band, Joy Division, who we've also mentioned, that song inspired another song called
Love Will Tear Us Apart.
Love Will Tear Us Apart.
A lot of people don't know Joy Division inspired by Captain and Tennille because those two things are closer in time. They were 2 years apart, but in our context, they're a million years apart.
Because we're youthful and we don't know about things like that. So the difference between love and lust, I guess. Here's some signs that you love someone. You tell your friends you're serious about this person. The feelings develop slowly. I think that's another good indicator. If you feel super pumped immediately, then chances are pretty good you're about to enter into a domestic violence situation or an abusive partnership. If it's a slow, steady, natural pace, then that's a good sign. You feel content with the person. You feel at ease when they're not around. You eat salads that they like.
If you are with someone who is love bombing you and promoting this feeling, that frequently is a setup for failure.
You're being manipulated.
You're being manipulated.
Oh, so if they're actually working that angle a great deal and trying to make you feel that, they're actually trying to control you and it could end up worse.
Something's going to happen in the future that's not good.
I remember a guy that I had just started dating. I think we'd been dating for like a month. We were on a dinner and I went to the bathroom and I came back and he said, I hope this doesn't sound weird, but I was just thinking about what names we could name our children.
Oh, no.
Future faking.
It's future faking, yes. Because you fake a future that doesn't exist.
Andy likes to say things like, whenever we hear a weird word, he's like, would that be the name of our first child? And he started doing it when I was about 40. And I said, you can only do this joke if you continue it well into my 70s. And he said, okay. And so it continues. He's just like, what do you think about walnut? And I was like, walnut ashcraft. I like it.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that.
Masculine name. I like it. Wally.
Well, how do we know it's going to Wally?
It could be a lady name. It could be a
Wally
lady name.
or Nutty.
Ooh, Nutty Ashcraft. She's a real hard
real
cookie.
Spitfire. Yeah.
Yep.
She's a tough one. You create real life scenarios about a future together, real life ones, not, hey, we've been dating for 5 minutes and let's have a kid. You have a realistic vision of this person and love them despite their faults and imperfections. You have a relationship based on intimacy, vulnerability, and like you said, trust.
When you're in a fake love, in a dove's love, you learn one bad thing about the person or one bad thing that just doesn't align with your viewpoint and it all comes falling apart. Oh, he cut his hair. I don't love him anymore. It was never love in the first place.
I remember, and she was joking or not. I was telling someone about dating Andy Ashcraft. It was Danielle Koenig. And I said, when we first met, he had a wizard beard and he has an iguana. And she said, wow, both of those are deal breakers, Jackie. And
I hear that.
For for her.
Like the first time we kissed, he had this weird wizard beard, which is just a goatee with a pointy edge that has been spun. He used to have all one length hair that went down to the middle of his back. And I don't know that we would have had a second date if from looks alone, it would have been hard. But it doesn't have to be that intensity of doves or whatever.
Right.
When you meet them, you just have to go, would I be willing to make out with that?
Right.
Would they be willing to make out with this?
Yes.
And then we move forward from that place and find out if we like each other more than that.
So, ladies, have you guys heard of the Capilano Suspension Bridge in Vancouver?
We think about this all the time.
So there was a study done called the Suspension Bridge Effect. And what they discovered is that people's likability increases when they are in kind of scary places. The Suspension Bridge Effect was a study published in 1974 by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Evidence was reported that sexual attraction increased under conditions of high anxiety. The experiment involved 34 male university students. The participants were randomly divided into two groups and were approached by a woman standing on the middle of a bridge. Afterwards, the lady experimenter gave the participants her phone number and told them to call if they wanted to know the results of the experiment. They did one on the Capilano Suspension Bridge and they did one on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The results of the experiment showed that only 12% called when they crossed a low concrete bridge, while 50% called the female experimenter when they crossed the Capilano Suspension Bridge in Vancouver. The human brain thinks scared and attracted are the same.
Because they both have the concept of arousal in its literal sense of my heart rate is elevated,
Right.
My temperature is raised. Scary feelings can be sexy feelings. See also teenagers going to horror movies.
Or going
Right.
on roller coasters. Your heart rate gets up. And so you think, am I scared of this roller coaster or do I find this person hot?
Here's the real test, though. No women at all. Did any of the men hook
well,
up? That would have been the real
Hey,
test.
now
That's a great question.
the question. That's the question.
But this
So,
is
yeah.
also why people hit on people at the gym because
They're
you
scared?
because your heart rate is up because you're in a state of arousal and look around at other people and they might be more attractive than they generally would be. I think that's why men hit on women at the gym anyway, or else they just want to bother women.
Or their scanty clothings.
True.
Especially with the TikTok shorts that you can get that make your butt
You know,
look
they used to call
crazy.
underwear small clothes. Did you
Yes,
know
that's
that?
why you say you got your smalls. I wish I had a cigar. You gotta get your smalls in the suitcase.
Well, so it's true. They are smaller than the
They're
rest of your clothing.
Yeah,
Because they're your
Unless I'm wearing garments under this.
exactly. Unless you're Mormon, which Laura and I grew up Mormon, basically
Did
the
you have
same
the fancy
size.
underwear?
We didn't
No.
get that far, but our parents did. Your underwear is basically the same size as your clothing.
In some
It's
cases,
just like
it
a
might be
jumpsuit.
bigger than your
It's
clothing.
like long johns.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what-
originally it was long johns, and then as times changed, it became to the elbow, to the knee.
It's like a nylon undergarment.
When Andy worked at Sony PlayStation, there was a big place in Salt Lake City, and every year they would get these Christmas trinkets that said PlayStation on them. And one year they wanted to do the Mormon underwear that just said "Live in our world, play in yours."
Whoa.
And it turns out that was shot down because that was not
That's
respected.
not
I
a
can't
good
imagine why
idea.
that didn't go.
So, Jackie, in contrast to the lovely Andy Ashcroft, tell me what about one of your college crushes or young adult crushes?
Oh,
How
I had a
how is
crush on a
that
guy
different?
named Bob, and it has a musical angle to it that you'll enjoy. Weirdly enough, he looked a little bit like Andy. And it's interesting because I don't really have a type, but maybe I do. We played video games together, and we played Mortal Kombat, and we played Dragon's Lair, and he was better at Dragon's Lair, so I would watch him play. That, of course, was fun for him. He actually had a reptile as well, and he would
You have
feed
a
like,
type.
I might have a
You
type.
have a fetish.
I think at one point I decided to tell him I had a crush on him, and he had just played some song. It was something about it not being personal. I don't know the name of the song. So we stopped hanging out after that because I said that I had a crush on him, and then he said that he did not have a crush on me. That actually was a precursor to me getting liquored up and just going, this needs a tune-up.
Right. You've had a
Because I
rejection.
bared my soul,
Right.
stone cold sober, to a guy I'd been standing next to for about 8 months. And then I was like, well, that doesn't work, clearly. How about we just get liquored up and just start making out with dudes?
Let's
And
turn
then-
off our feelings
Yeah.
and let the chimp come out.
So you were talking about how Andy Ashcraft kind of looked like the guy you had a crush on. A study found that our attraction to others is most strongly influenced by our life experiences, like the kind of faces you're exposed to and the relationships you form. For example, having a positive relationship with someone may have you subconsciously pairing their facial characteristics with positive information. Subsequently, people who look similar to them become more attractive to you as well. Research also suggests that familiarity and exposure to certain faces increases their attractiveness. That means you may prefer faces that are similar to those that you're more familiar with and tend to judge a face that is very different from faces that you've previously seen as less attractive.
That's just racism, of course.
Have you ever met a guy who he dated a girl who looked like Kim Kardashian, and then the next 15 girls he dated also looked like Kim Kardashian? I think that's why.
If you look at my ex's exes, it's just a litany of tall brunettes with bangs. Impossible to tell us apart. I actually had a friend who passed away, and going to his funeral was like going to an audition for myself.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard Jimmy Pardo's joke about going to an audition? And he's like, you're sitting in a waiting room with essentially a line of a better looking version of yourself to a worse looking version of yourself. At least there was a worse looking. Yeah.
Right. You don't want to feel like you're the Temu version of yourself in the group.
I have had this experience going to an audition, walking in the wrong room and knowing viscerally in my bones that it was the wrong room because every woman was like a 10, like just craning their head. I'm like, oh no, this isn't it.
Sometimes when they do 2 auditions at once and you're like, oh, I get it.
Talking about crushing versus loving, here are some ways that you know that it's a crush and it's not love. You tell your friends you're head over heels. You quickly end up craving the person and becoming obsessed with them. You're dazed, you're overthinking all the time, and you feel anxious when you're not with them. You have physical manifestations like sweaty palms and a nervous stomach. You create fantasies in your mind about being with them, and you have an idealized vision of this person and believe that they're perfect, and the relationship is largely superficial.
And then that's the Hollywood version of love. It is superficial and it's novelty, and it's not what we experience in the long term.
It's weird about Hollywood too. When they want to sort of react to that, they make it into a horror movie where they're just like, it's the perfect woman. And it turns out, it's the perfect man smothered with a pillow.
And that continues to happen. If a man is in a relationship at the beginning of the movie, either she gets kidnapped or he gets a new relationship. The old relationship is painted as, oh, it's so boring. They're like having cereal together at the breakfast table. Oh, she's talking about the kids. He needs something fun and exciting and like a snakeskin dress. But that's what real love is. And it's boring. It's dreadful in a way.
I would not say that it's dreadful, but I would say that it's predictable. Right. It's grounded in reality. It's mature. You accept the person for who they are. You're not pretending that this person is someone who they're not.
And it doesn't necessarily even have to be boring, but there has to be some sort of peace to it.
Right.
There's a peacefulness and a serenity to it.
Right.
You're just sort of both moving in, either you're not moving in any direction and you're having a perfectly lovely stationary moment, or you're both moving in the same direction. A friend of mine yesterday said, nothing happens in God's world without a reason. And I would like to swear at that saying and say, nope, it's just too strong and too rigid a way of talking about acceptance and willingness and the way that life changes. You have a child that was unplanned, but is a gift. And you could have been super mad about it and just been like,
trust me, I was sometimes.
Right. I know my stepmother was also, you're going to be fed, you're going to be clothed, we're going to do homework, you're going to learn chores, you're going to learn manners, but I don't like this. I'm not happy. And she was unhappy in it for 10 years,
a long time.
And she would occasionally try not to be. We would have good times. But if you talk to any of my siblings who are all older than me and who were all there when she was trying to adjust and change and accept and be willing, sort of stalling and starting and stalling and starting, they saw a lot more failure than I did. Because I was 2 years younger than them. So by the time I was 10 or 12 years old, which was 4 years into it, she was like, oh, well, we're all into this. And all right.
My question is, if you didn't want kids, why would you marry a widow with like
great question.
Kids?
Great question, Jackie.
This is a question I ask my stepmother all the time in my mind.
And she has said this before she passed away. She would say, your father was the love of my life. And I wanted to do everything for him. And I said, and he took you for a buggy ride.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know. I know. She lasted as long as she lasted, which was long after we had grown up, and he was having an affair with somebody else. It was a bad choice. She was 26. My oldest brother was 17.
Wow.
And my father was 35. It was weird.
Am I misremembering this, Jackie? That when your mother passed, your father had been dating your stepmother who had no idea he had kids?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What?
That's how it
She
happened,
told me-
Laura.
Wow.
Yeah, my stepmother told me
Odd.
that he never told her that he had kids. I think she thought that he had like one. He would meet Russ, but she didn't know he had 6 kids, and she didn't know that he had a lot of kids. They were living together. My parents had been separated for like 3 years, and Nancy and my dad had been living together. And my dad comes in and says, "Well, my wife died. I get the kids back." And Nancy was like, "Wait, the kids?" And
Kids, plural?
yeah.
More than
And
one
my-
child?
And my father is literally the kind of guy that in his mind, he already told you. And there's absolutely no way anyone forgets that someone has 6 children. It just doesn't. And to be a fly on the wall as he went, "Yeah, I get the kids. Terry, Philip, Scott, Russell, Darla, Jack, I get the kids back."
And the fact
And
that you're
then
living with a
she
woman who
married
doesn't
him.
know about your children. That's
Right.
pretty bizarre.
Super involved.
For 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
When my father came actually to reclaim us, I guess, he was with the sheriff to tell us that my mother had died. And I asked my brother Russ, "Who's the other guy?" And Russ goes, "That's Dad, you idiot. I had not seen him since I was 4.
Let's start EMDR. Let's do it. So Harville Hendrix, who we talked about in the Lego My Imago episode, he said romantic love sticks around long enough to bind 2 people together, and then it rides off in the sunset. And seemingly overnight, your dream marriage can turn into your biggest nightmare. So I think that's the difference. If you haven't worked through your stuff together and you don't have some agreements, it can be really tough to move from the romantic phase to the actual relationships phase.
And in our stepmother's case, Laura, I think she genuinely thought that the kids were going to take care of themselves and that she was going to be the main thing.
Well, she wasn't wrong.
No, she wasn't wrong. Also, I think she was a romantic love addict because she'd been married 3 times by the time she married our dad and then left him for another man and just is always in this churn of doves.
Romantic love is just the first stage of couplehood. It's supposed to fade. Romantic love is the powerful force that draws you to someone who has positive and negative qualities, parents or caregiver. And we talk about that in Imago. Yes. And then that's when you really start the work of actually having a relationship with a person.
Oh.
Jackie, what are your final thoughts on this extremely relatable and varied topic that is love?
My mother-in-law moved in with us 2 years ago. And I was saying to Andy that teen years of our relationship was relatively effortless. And the last 2 years have been more challenging just because we've had to figure out how to live with each other. And we have. The 3 of us have been on our best behavior for 2 years, which is exhausting. The benefit of that is that we've learned what we do like about each other and what we do enjoy doing together. And I said, I think the first 18 years was easy because you literally didn't ask anything of me. We just went to movies and and I had fun. And he is of the opinion that that is not true. He's like, I have asked any number of things of you, but it was just not quite as big. Like I remember when I had to go to the hospital for something and they checked me in and I said, this is going to take a couple hours. So why don't you just go home? You have to work tomorrow. He said, that actually isn't done. That's not
Actually, it is. You should talk to Virginia.
Right. It has been done. That's how it's always been done in my family.
Right.
They're just like, well, I drove you here. I'll just keep me posted. And he's like, one doesn't leave one's wife at the hospital. And he has also driven me to and from LAX for 20 years.
Wow.
About 2 weeks ago on a
He's
Sunday
quit.
at 8:00, he's wrapped it up here. He said, I think I might be done. And I said, you're not wrong. They have fixed the inside of LAX. They have not fixed the approach
outside,
and the
no.
departure. They're in the middle of it, which means that it could take you 35 minutes to get to LAX and an hour and a half to get to the baggage claim. And that's what it took that one time. And he was like, I don't know what to do with this feeling. And I said, it's a feeling that you should abandon and tell me to get a lift or get on a bus or some damn thing because they both exist. And you don't have to spend 3 hours of your life coming to get me.
But he
And
feels a sense of obligation to you, which to me is a sign of actual love and companionship.
And he likes spending time with me. So he's like, I don't mind driving you to the airport if it's an hour and 15 minutes or so. And then I can get back in a timely fashion.
Right.
To have a
then
life.
he's alone. Yes. And we've had that conversation where I'm like, I will be there as much as I can be for your mother, but I also am not going to break myself on this. It's your mother and I love her. I will do as much as I can and then I will not.
Right.
And he's like, I get that.
That's fair. So, Virginia, what do you think about this incredible topic that Jackie Cation brought to us?
I think it's something that we all have to reckon with at some point, especially as women. As soon as you're born, who's your boyfriend? Well, who's your husband? Who's your boyfriend? And it takes up a big part of our mental space. I think learning that a love relationship is not your savior or your knight or the person who's going to do everything for you. It's just another human. It's a good lesson and a hard one. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to close with another quote from Harville Hendrix. He thought he was in love with a person when in fact he was in love with an image projected upon that person. This woman was not a real person with needs and desires of her own. She was a resource for the satisfaction of his own unconscious childhood longings. He was in love with the idea of wish fulfillment and, like Narcissus, with a reflected part of himself. I think that that's, to me, if we're looking at like lines in the sand, the difference between the thing that many of us have had with idiots over time versus the beautiful thing that Jackie has created with her husband. I'm not looking at you as a projection of my past. I see you as a whole human and I acknowledge you and I accept you and I respect you for who you are. And I want to work with that instead of trying to mold you into this fake person that I think I need.
Like in Vertigo.
I don't remember that. Do you want to share what was the comedy though? That
High Anxiety by Mel Brooks.
There we go. That's the only version of Vertigo I know.
Jimmy Stewart is in love with a woman who dies, and then he meets another woman who looks a lot like her and makes her walk and talk and dress like her and go, it can't possibly matter to you. Jackie, what dates do you have coming up to tell the people about, and where can people find you on the internet?
If you go to JackieKation.com or, of course, FamilyPetAncestry.com, which points to JackieKation.com. Why? Because it made me laugh. So I bought it, FamilyPetAncestry.com. I like the idea of someone going, did my cat come over on the Mayflower? FamilyPetAncestry.com. Is my dog eligible to join the dogs of the American Revolution? FamilyPetAncestry.com. If you go to JackieKation.com, you can see all of my dates. I'm all over the place. But I will say that all of November, it's kind of nuts because I'm all over the East Coast. That's October, of course. I'm in Cincinnati for the first time ever. And then mid-October, I'm in Florida for the first time ever. But November, it's Pittsburgh. And then I go to Vermont. And then I go to outside of Toronto, a place called Hamilton. And then I go to Portland, Maine. And then, I think I'm working with Maria Bamford at like Rockford and Milwaukee and all that stuff. So go to JackieKation.com and watch me do stand-up comedy live and in person.
And that's JackieKashian.com. Thank you for coming, Jackie. We have really loved having you here. So, Virginia, where can people find you on these interwebs?
You can find me at Bedinia.com. If you want to write us, you can write us at hello@mysistersatherapist.com. Laura, where can people find you?
They can find me at lauraryan.org. You can also find me on my TikTok page. I am Laura Ryan. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can go to My Sister's a Therapist on Instagram. We also have our own website, just like Jackie, but ours is called mysistersatherapist.com. If you want to hire us and give us lots and lots of money to promote things or go to things, you can go to hire us at mysistersatherapist.com and write us a check for millions of dollars.
Laura, now's the part of the show where you sometimes read a review that people have very kindly sent us and that we like a lot. Do you have one this week?
I do. This is from eMarby72. The title is Entertaining and Insightful. These two sisters are hilariously entertaining while also being informative. Love to listen on my drive to and from work. Some episodes are pure entertainment and others have helped me gain some insight into mental health issues and personality disorders. I have added several books to my must-read list thanks to this podcast. You know a podcast is doing something right when you find multiple episodes worth a repeat listen. Please keep on doing what you do. Thank you, eMarby.
Thank you. And again, thank you to Jackie. Your friendship is something that is very dear to me. And the fact that I could abuse you enough to be on this podcast, I find very special. We would like to close, of course, with the hallowed words of Billy Ray Valentine, Capricorn. We can make it, baby.
Me and you.
Bye-bye.